Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about Andor, season 2, episodes 7, 8, and 9. I'm here with Cheeto. How you doing?
Hanging in there. How about yourself?
Oh, mate, I am off my feet. As you can see, I haven't even had a chance to get changed. I'm still in my work attire, but that's how it goes. Such is life and my dedication to NerdTube. All right. So these were the episodes we were kind of anticipating when it came to some of the lore and history of Star Wars, and boy, did we get it today. Kind of expecting most of this to happen in episode 9, but we ended up getting all of it in episode 8. What did you think of this trilogy of episodes, Cheetah?
I think it's about time.
Sorry, I
I
can't hear
honestly.
you. One sec. Sorry. Keep talking. It's fine. I think
Okay.
it's on me.
Yeah, I really feel like that it's about time that this happened. I really feel like that they. I mean, honestly, like the last block of episodes really could have been kind of merged into this block of episodes, and it would have been fine. We would have had more time, like after the rebellion formed. We're finally getting movement with the rebellion, so did I enjoy these episodes? Absolutely. I thought they were great episodes. I just, again, my overall problem with the series second season is we should have been seeing more movement with the rebellion, but we are here. I am happy. The massacre on Gorman happened, which I'm very happy that all those people died. No, I'm kidding. I mean, but it was a good, catalyst for, you know, for the rebellion. It felt kind of like condensed. Like it was like one plaza. And I get it, like hundreds are dead, blah blah blah. It was a slaughter. Yes, that's all tragic, but it kind of felt limited to, like, if like all of this stuff happened on the whole planet, like the Imperial troops were rolling through the cities, just putting martial law, like gunning people down in the streets. The Imperial Star Destroyers were like destroying like whole city blocks because there were resistance cells there. And so, like them killing a bunch of people in a in one single plaza considered genocide is kind of like, okay. I mean, again, it's tragic, but it's like this is not the scale of Star Wars. You know what I mean? So that's my only real issue with this whole thing, is like it just felt very small. Anyway,
Yeah, considering we've had planet destruction in Star Wars in the past, but then again, all of this was before Alderaan even.
yeah.
So I to a degree, and sometimes shows like this, Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever it may be, they try to also sometimes reflect what happens in our society, and yes, some of the stuff that we've seen right now doesn't come close. This is more of like a, if I could if I could resemble it to anything, it's more like a Tiananmen Square from back in the day. If anything, one location, a certain amount of people, lots of terrible things happening.
You didn't really
Um,
get really any like citywide shots until like towards the end. Like you can tell they like saved their money until that one citywide shot where they showed like some of the stuff going down. You know what I mean? Like this was
mhm.
definitely. And again, I don't blame them because I know it's a money saving thing, but still, there's ways to make it feel vast without like really blowing the budget. You know what I mean? Like it just felt very limited in what they were doing for me.
Yeah, I can understand. We got a lot of setup in episode 7, but what I find a bit weird is like sometimes the convenience of having a year gap. Like there is so much story to tell in between these years. Like just 2 years ago, Yavin, and it still is a forest planet, and there is some sort of historical thing regarding Yavin when it comes to those pyramids and so on. But still, now we come to this particular period in time, and it's now the rebels' base. Like, how the fuck did that happen? Like,
Again,
yeah.
that's why I was saying in the past couple of weeks, I'm like, how do we get from all of these scattered cells and like no organization to like all of a sudden we've got this really nice base on Yavin. Now, granted, the base was still kind of under construction. They kept on saying the Yavin base is not ready yet. So I mean, like obviously it's still in process, but still, I really feel like it's a sprint almost to the finish. You know, like we got to get everything ready so we can have this big battle. You know, in Rogue One.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
but let's see. Couple comments here. Zamir Andretti. Yes. I wonder what our rankings would be if it were released episode 1 at the time rather than as a block. I think they knew that in a way because Andor season 1, every 3 episodes was its own arc, was its own trilogy, so to speak. And so I think they did the right thing with this because it would be very hard to get invested in this show and understand exactly what's going on at times without this sort of level of continuation. And this is smart. This is smart. A smart move by Disney. Yeah, there are shows that can come out on a weekly basis, and then there's shows like this that need to show these individual moments every year as an entirety, not just as an individual episode, because you could get lost and wonder what the fuck's going on week to week. Watching it like this is much better.
I also feel like they should have more done this, not as like they should have done that. I might have said this last week, but I really feel like they should have done this in long episodes like Sherlock on the BBC. Like, you know, how
half-hour episodes.
Yeah, an hour and a half. Well, yeah, an hour and a half episodes, or you know, even more. Because I mean, each of these episodes are what, like an hour long, and like
I mean, individually they could be between 45 minutes to an hour long.
So yeah, so I mean
that's a lot. That's a long episode if you think about it.
Well, but I mean, as I said, Sherlock did it, and I enjoyed it. I liked the fact that there were no breaks, like in those long episodes. I mean, I could stop it at any point, like go take a leak, or you know, even walk away from it for a little bit, and then because of streaming, I could pick back right up where I left off. But you know,
do you have a problem with like this in the way that you can watch all 3 episodes at once, you know, in 45-minute breaks? In a way, it gives you a chance to catch your breath before the next one and so on. Yeah,
that's fine. I also do like the fact that they're releasing this in blocks, not in like I'm not a big fan of like dumping a whole season and you know and then doing like that's too much. This is somewhat more manageable in my opinion.
Get your fill. You get your fill per week. Yeah, I agree. You know, I'm already looking forward to next week, but let's talk about this week. So once again in episode 7, things are building up to what happened on Goram. But first of all, we are on Yavin 4, and Bix and Andor are living a good life, you know, in their glorified tree hut. Excuse me. And whilst they're mingling around Yavin 4, they come across a lady at one particular point who feels Andor's pain, his laser pain, and she's definitely force sensitive. But what bugs me is like she's an old lady, yeah, who's force sensitive. She is old enough to have known about the Jedi Order, the temples, Coruscant, all of that shit. So for her to just have some sort of ability and all of that, it just feels a bit weird. You know, like I'm not saying she should have been a Jedi or anything, but she's obviously force sensitive.
It just it felt very cultish in my opinion. Like I was kind of like, oh, she's a part of a Yavin cult, and then like I eventually I realized, oh, okay, there's some force, there's the force at play here. I thought she kind of looked more like a cultist to me though, and I mean like I guess that's what the Jedi kind of were at that point in Star Wars history. They weren't, you know, they were kind of frowned upon because of obviously everything that happened with Order 66 and everything. But I don't know, it was a very weird exchange for me.
Yeah. Another thing as well, like don't get me wrong, I had no issue with this scene, but there are some people who did. And when listening to their gripes regarding that scene, I get it. For instance, Andor is he's an everyman. Why do now we have to put this extra onus like he's like a chosen one with this lady who uses her force sensitive powers on him, to understand his potential destiny. Where have you gone, mate? Oh, you're back. Let's bring him back. So yeah, like he doesn't need to have all these additional quips to him. Like, yeah, you're very important to the cause of the rebellion, and you're like a chosen one for the rebellion, and all of that sort of shit. The fact that he's just an everyman is all we needed him to be. Like this extra onus wasn't required. I'm not sure how you feel about that.
I mean, okay, so this is kind of the prequel problem is we know Andor is destined for big things. So now, of course, there has to be somebody in the prequel that knows that Andor is destined for the big thing. And whether it's through prophecy, time travel, whatever, they do it in Star Trek also. Like, that's kind of the thing. It's like in Star Trek, they did it with Daniels and Enterprise. Like, oh, he knew because he was a time traveler. You're destined for the big thing. And yeah, it is to me it is very contrived. I don't like. I think it. Again, it feels cultish. Like us watching like we've been reviewing The Last of Us. It's almost like the cultists in there. They're like, oh, we believe in her and blah blah blah, and like it just they seem. Yeah, like again, like it just it doesn't fit Andor's. I don't want to say narrative, but it doesn't fit Andor's like style, like not the
It's a
person,
bit
the show.
It's a bit cheesy.
Yeah,
I forgot to read more of Daniel Vance's comments. The Imperial Newcasters had all the footage they needed to spin the story any way they wanted. Yeah, that is state-run media, my friend, at its finest, or Imperial-run media. I thought the rain at the beginning of episode 3 would perfectly show what was happening in the universe. As a result, each raindrop was a planet, and the waves with the comms going out. I love the way Deirdre snapped her uniform like Picard after kissing Cyril in the hallway. Surprised she did that in the public space. I want to get onto Cyril a little bit, by the way. The Force Healer was a member of the path set up by the Jedi Master Quaylen Voss. The path is mentioned in the recent episodes of Tales from the Underworld. I have to see that, by the way. I totally forgot about that.
yeah. I haven't watched. I saw it the other day on Disney Plus when I was scrolling, and I'm like, oh yeah, this was a thing, and I just haven't even watched it.
I need to get onto that. Yeah, for sure. So we have it's weird. Like I don't understand Luthen as well to a degree in all of this. Like this is kind of what he wanted, but at the same time he's not happy with it. Like there's an army, there's a rebel. I mean, this is the sort of shit that like if you want to take on the Empire, like this is how you do it. But he wants to do it. He personally wants to do it in a way that is more underhanded in the shadows. But
Yeah, I was to say he wants to do more Shadow Ops rebellion. This is more like open rebellion, but I think he knows that he can't. Like he knows that open rebellion has to be a thing. He just knows he can't do it. That's why I think he invested so much in Mon Mothma, because he knew that she was going to be the open rebellion leader. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to know when we're going to meet Admiral Ekbar. I mean, come on, he's got to be around somewhere.
Was it he was in Rogue One, wasn't he?
I know the one he wasn't no, it was Admiral something else, but he was still a calamari, but it wasn't Admiral Ekbar. He might have been on the bridge there because no, probably not, because that ship got captured. So
you just reminded me of how awfully he was treated in The Last Jedi. So like that moment, what's her face, Laura Dern's character, when she gave up her life, and she did that, and she went into light speed, destroying all the Star Destroyers. People are saying that should have been Admiral Akbar's moment. You know what I mean? If he's gonna go out like that. You know what I mean?
Not getting into The Last Jedi. I am not a complete hater, but that is one of the moments that I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
Anyway.
let's go to episode 8. But this is the episode we really need to talk about.
Oh yeah,
Um,
this is the just a little fun fact. It is the highest rated episode. Like I think it's the third highest rated episode of all time, or something. It's like 9.9 or something like that on something. I don't remember. I saw it the other day where I'm like, what?
damn.
Yeah, it is. It is one of the highest rated episodes at 9.9 in the history of television. Like I'll look it up
It,
to find out. I'll source it. But yeah, I meant to
it
look
is
it up before we
amazing.
started.
It is amazing what a massacre could do, when it comes to people's entertainment. And we got it in this episode. Prior to that, Andor is obviously doing surveillance. We have La Resistance. Ginger Greek and I talked about this group of rebels on Gorman, because the language they're speaking, by the way, is like a version of French, but it's not French. And I googled it, by the way, to find out what they were speaking. But for a start, like, the actors themselves are all French actors, so they were able to deliver this particular dialect. But as I said before, shows like this, they try to replicate stuff that's happened in our world. This is definitely Star Wars version of La Resistance, the French Resistance, without a doubt. And Cyril has bumps into one of their leaders, and he knows that Cyril is no good. But the funny thing is regarding Cyril is that there was something that happened to him in this episode that made me feel like, whoa, this is not in line with your character. You're an Imperial guy. You've come across as this Imperial guy for a long time, and now all of a sudden you have some sort of allegiance with La Resistance. You care for them a little bit. Maybe you like that girl. I don't know,
Yeah, but he's
but
been there for like a year and a half at this point.
exactly.
Okay.
This is the good point, and I'm glad you brought. And this is what I was going to bring up as well. I agree with you 100%. And obviously, sometimes when you immerse yourself with the people that you're spying on, you could end up kind of getting lost in the woods a little bit and forgetting who your allegiances are with. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
that could have been the case with Cyril, but we never saw that because we had a fucking 1 year time jump. Yeah. Well, initially he's there just to to use them so he can get back into the good books with the Empire. And all of a sudden now he's like upset that there's going to be a mass slaughter. Like, it just made no sense.
I mean, do you think so? Do you like just theory crafting here, or not theory crafting, but like dream crafting? So, do you think that if we had a third season of Andor and we got more, we spread out the story so far of season 2 out to seasons 2 and 3, whereas you spent maybe like 6 episodes, well, what is it, 9, not, no, 12, yeah, so 6 episodes on certain arcs, and then another 6, like especially the Gorman stuff. Like if you spent 6 episodes on the Gorman stuff, like, and you spread it out and you kind of saw more, and it wasn't just a 1 year time skip every time, and then the end of season 2 is Mon Mothma defecting, and then, or no, I'm sorry, the end of season 2 would have been, yeah, see, that doesn't work anyway, because like everything is happening in these 3 episodes, which, as I said, I think these episodes should have been earlier. Like this stuff should have, and I think the first 3 episodes were almost kind of a waste. So
I don't know how I don't know if I would find watching the in betweens satisfying, just for the sake of filling in the gaps. I mean, maybe in animation they could do something like that. I don't know. It's hard to say. Comic book form could be a good way of filling in the gaps. But
no,
I wouldn't
it's
want a season of filling in the gaps.
no, but that's what I mean. But like they could, instead of doing these 1 year time gaps, they could just spread out season 2 and spread out season 2 into season 2 and 3. But you get to see more of that in between. It's not just some big time gap, like
I
time
agree.
time jumps in between. And as I said, like the first couple episodes of the season, like look, Andor's great, but like the first couple episodes, like were kind of duds for me. As I said, there were some good things in them, but not enough. Like it was,
I
like Andor being stuck on Yavin for 2 episodes with people who have no idea. It was so, that was Disney-fied, and I could have done without any of that.
Just to go back to your comment regarding about maybe doing more episodes and maybe doing like they could have done season 2 where they do 2 years and they could have filled in the gap for those 2 years in 12 episodes instead of having season 2 being 4 years in 12 episodes.
Yeah,
Season yeah, but like what do you do in those fucking 12 episodes? Like what
the
do
in
you show of
between stuff.
significance? Yeah,
As
but
I said,
what
it doesn't
do you,
all have to be one. It doesn't all have to be like
no,
one.
I agree, but how do you make it enthralling and interesting, and captivating and story, all of this sort of stuff, because it has to tick a lot of boxes to make it worthy. I mean, that's why they do the easy option of just doing the 1 year time jump. But and don't get me wrong, it does have its pros and cons, and the cons obviously is like wondering what the fuck has happened in this 1 year, and if we did decide to go through that 1 year, it might be boring as fuck, and it might
That's the catch-22. You might be right.
yeah. So let's go to some comments here. Um, Cyril wants to be doing the right thing. He's not looking for people on the planet who are just commenting on their rights. He's looking for the resistance. Yeah, I know that, but at the same time, he always seemed like he wanted to get back into the graces of the Empire, because he didn't give a fuck about the people on that planet with the bricks in season 1. He just wanted to get back into the Empire, and he did whatever he could. And if anything, the similarities, the parallels are there between that group of people and this group of people on Gorham. Cyril was in the dark the whole time, thinking he was working to better the universe, but he was also relaying back to the Empire. He's not naive,
I'm about to say, I mean, he knew he was working for the Empire. You know what I mean? And I think on a level, I think Cyril knew that what the Empire was doing. I think there came a point where Cyril knew what they were doing was wrong, and I think that came in like the last block of episodes, is where he was like, something's off here, and that's why it all kind of came to the head in these episodes, because I think he kind of knew and he stewed on it for a year, because that's why he was very sympathetic when he was meeting with the Resistance members in these couple episodes. Like, they had more interactions than we know about. It's not like he did the couple things in the episodes 4 through 6 and that was it. He never talked to him again. Like, it seems like they had interactions after that.
And you also remember as well, like last week, he saw loads of these resistance guys, these rebel guys. He saw a whole bunch of them, and all of those same people were in the square. He knew who these people were. They were going against the Empire. They recruited Cyril because they thought he knew who the Empire was, and although that he would be an asset to them. I just find this turn a bit weird. Cyril choking Deirdre and turning into the babyface applause. Once again, I just didn't get it. Like, all of a sudden, this guy who's a simp for Deirdre is now choking her. Like, Deirdre had him wrapped around his finger. Even kissed him in episode 7, and all of a sudden, he's now like choking her. It felt very out of character.
Can you hear me?
For him? Yeah.
Sorry, I accidentally bumped my thing and it freaked out. So yeah, no, I agree. The turn with Cyril was pretty dramatic and kind of, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but it was definitely like kind of a issue, not an issue, but like it didn't sit right with me. And like, him being frustrated with Deidre maybe sat okay because he had been in the dark for so long. I'd be frustrated too if they kept me in the dark. But like, yeah, like him being like, what are we doing here? And even Deidre was having issues with this. And it's like, nothing Deidre ever has done has made me think that she was like a simp for these people or any. I mean, these two were like the poster couple for the Empire. You know what I mean? Like that's why I don't. It just seemed it seemed like they did it just to heighten the emotions. You know what I
You
mean?
could have, yeah.
They even had to bring in the extra asshole guy to make Deidre not look so bad. You know what I mean? Like Deidre could have done all the things that that military guy with the scar on it or the scar on his face was doing. You know what I mean? Like I could have so
I,
seen Deidre doing that.
yeah, it's really strange because like are these people totally naive of who they work for? Like 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 they're the empire for a reason, because they rule with an iron fist, and to be unaware of that all of a sudden, all of a sudden be shocked by it when you behave that way for all this time. And like I said, did they not? These are the same people who were in season one, where a lot of the shit that happened at the end of season one kind of resembled what happened in the middle of season two, in this episode. So I'm just finding it a bit weird. The two guys walking after catching loads the K2S droid reminded me of the end of the original Red Dawn, as the brothers walked together, dying. The Red Dawn with Patrick Swayze. I haven't seen that one in years. I can't remember it, to tell you the truth. Cyril comes across as someone who with OCPD to me. A person with OCPD, things aren't black and white, but more about morality. Once again, I just didn't get that initially either. He seemed like he seemed like a guy who would be willing to do anything and everything to get back into the empire. When his offices were getting uh when the resistance were listening in on him, he kind of expected that to happen. He wanted that to happen, so he could play, and then he would make it in a song and dance to the empire, because he wanted to come across as somebody to the resistance that could be somebody who could end up working for them. He knew what he was doing,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden, and like I said, there could be moments where he might have started to sympathize with the resistance over the year he was working with them, but we never saw that happen, and that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest problem with all of that, in my personal opinion. I have no problem with him having a change of heart. I just wanted to see that occur, but we never saw that.
I think they did a good job translating that. The actor who played Cyril, I think they did a good job at
He's a brilliant
translating.
actor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I think he did a really good job translating like his turn. But you're right. Like the problem's not the actor coming across as this. It's more of the story and the writers. Like that's why I'm saying it's like sometimes these things need time to like breathe. Like if we're gonna care about the Gormans, we have to spend a lot of time with the Gormans. And although we did spend a decent amount of time with the Gormans, there's still I don't think it was enough for this to actually matter as much as we're supposed to think it does.
Getting off the serial topic we could be here all day. Andor, he's on Gorham as well, and he's there to assassinate Deirdre, and he comes across the bellhop he met the previous year, and the bellhop remembers him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you would think of all the people who would have come through that door. He remembers Cassian a year later, and
Did you think that he was going to get Deidre? I honestly thought for a minute he was actually going to get Deidre. Like this was going to be
well,
her exit of the show because of the way they were kind of trying to turn her baby face, with a lot of the with bringing in the bigger asshole guy and everything. Like I got thinking, oh, this might be it. This might be the moment where they finally get rid of her.
it's hard to say, because I think when he lost a couple of opportunities, I thought, man, no, it's not happening. You know, you can't lose that many opportunities and then expect it to happen. Um, I was more shocked that Cyril died
Yeah.
in episode 8, to tell you the truth. And it's funny because it made me realize that yes, Cyril knows who Andor is, Andor never got to know who Cyril is, and I got that Thanos moment where Cyril is like is the Scarlet Witch, and Andor is Thanos, and he goes and he can see the anger in Cyril, like he wants to beat the shit out of him and hurt him and whatever. And Andor's going, I don't even know who you are. Like, who the fuck are you?
Yep. No, I thought that was honestly that was a little hilarious for me. Like I was just like, oh yeah, he doesn't even know who he is. Like Cassian has no idea who he is. We finally get them together, and it's just like, nope, not happening.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, he stopped. I don't know if he intentionally did or whatever, but he stopped Deirdre from getting killed. Cyril, that was his last good act as far as the Empire is concerned. And by doing so, when he had Cassian dead to rights, but when Cassian asked him who you are, like he lowered his gun for a second. But then the other member of La Resistance, who knew that he was a traitor, killed him.
But that's the thing. It's like, yeah, but now they're doing this whole babyface turn with Cyril. I'm like, I didn't like it. Like I really want, like, him lowering the gun like that was basically going, oh, he might actually like let him go or let him live or whatever. But it's like, I'm glad Cyril died, because I think it added like an impact on what was going on for us as the viewer. Like I loved Cyril. Don't get me wrong. I thought he was not
He
wasted.
grew on me.
He
grew
wasn't
on me as a
wasted in
character.
season 1, but he was definitely underutilized as a character in season 1. This season he was used very well. I liked him a lot in this season. I just felt like the first season he didn't do much. Besides in like the first couple episodes, but still, like, he just kind of hung out the rest of the episodes after that. But yeah, like, so it definitely helped it feel so, they didn't like taskmaster it. They didn't just like, get rid of somebody who doesn't matter. Like Cyril mattered to this show. So
I agree. So up until Cyril left the building, I thought
basically
Andor
when he
was going to
shot,
try for Deirdre and shot Cyril instead.
or
Yeah,
maybe when he left the Imperial administrative office or whatever.
yeah. I mean, but he didn't know who Cyril was, so he probably thought Cyril was one of the La Resistance guys. And talking about La Resistance, it was like they really built it up when the massacre came. Like, my God, like the build up was incredible. It went on for minutes. Minutes on end.
I love that they did the singing. I thought that was great. Like I thought that, to kind of like they're in this like riot mode, and like for them all of a sudden to kind of like not pull the rug, but like under, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like they not under deliver, but like they kind of pull back a little bit, and they're like, this isn't a riot, this is a protest, and like,
Yeah.
and and basically the Empire had to goat them into a fight, and that was probably their plan the whole time. But it's not like you had like Gamorreans just sitting there shooting Imperial officers or whatever to start it. Like the Imperials had to goat them into a fight,
And they took a sniper to killing one of their own men to do it, and the next thing you know, like, people willy-nilly were getting shot. And it was a bit of like a death hole, like they were all contained in this plaza, and there wasn't many places they could go. And yeah, they all start getting killed. And by the way, prior to this, because like I said, the build-up was crazy. When Cyril was still alive, he went into the Imperial office, and then they put him into another office, into a room, and there's the K2 asteroids, all there, just sitting there. And I like the way that one of them just kept looking at him.
and you knew who that was. Like they did that on purpose. Obviously, they did it on purpose because they focused in on him. But like okay, so we're supposed to know. Okay, this is going to be our K2SO from Rogue One.
Yeah, and like I said, once shit did start hitting the fan, and all of that, and then the K2 asteroids started coming up. My God, they were scary. I had like Terminator vibes from these guys. They were kind of indestructible to a degree, and Sorry. And Andor and his mate was being chased by one of them, and it's crazy. That's the one who ends up being his friend,
Well,
and it
it's
gets
really crazy. Like with those K2S droids, like they don't have guns. Like they're just mauling people. Like
yeah.
they are literally grabbing people, throwing people,
Well,
breaking their backs.
they
Like it's
threw
oh
that
my
girl.
yeah.
That throw they did on her. I didn't think she was going to die from that. I thought, yeah, that's a big throw, and you're going to probably get bumps and bruises from it. But no, she was dead.
Mhm.
You know,
Well,
like, what the fuck?
I figured just about everybody in that resistance was going to die. Like again, they did a good job at making us care about some of these people, and like, but I kind of figured a lot of them were not going to make it.
Yeah, for sure. Um, they decide. Yeah, this is the weird thing because I've always wondered how Andor would, meet this droid, and he decides to take the droid after it's been, cracked in half. Yeah, we'll just take it. It can't, there's absolute genocide going on around us, but we'll take this fucking droid in the meantime. Yeah,
I figure he probably could get like maybe the tech people could get some information out of it. You know what I mean? Like maybe that was his thought originally. I don't know.
yeah. But he ends up going away, and I mean, episode 8 was, like I said, like it was pure massacre. We'll go into episode 9. I mean, this was the aftermath, and this was more of a Mon Mothma episode as well. And this was a clever move, by the way, regarding Benjamin Bratt being Bail Organa, because what I heard from the makers of Star Wars is that with Jimmy Smith playing Bail for many years now, like getting close to 30 years, or 25 years at least, it was always going to be a bit weird to do a recast. So they did the tiny episode of the tiny like cameo moment of him last week to get people talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then people ended up finished talking about Bail Organa being played by Benjamin Bratt. And now we can just get straight into it, when he does have more fuller role to play.
I think
It's a
he did
clever
a
move.
great. I think he did a great job. He even picked up on a lot of the mannerisms from the original actor. So honestly, I think it was a good pick. I'm not opposed to recasting, especially when it's a role like that that's very important to the story. As long as they get someone who looks the part for the most part, and like I'm sorry, like I was not a fan of Don Cheadle being recast. Now I love Don Cheadle now. Like I mean, but like when Terrence Howard was replaced by Don Cheadle, I'm like, that's like a totally different dude. Like it's not even close. You know what
Yeah,
I
like all
mean? So
Black Twos look alike apparently. Yeah,
yeah,
so
I'm like at least recast so that's they kind of look similar. Like again, I like Don Cheadle. I'm not a big fan of Terrence Howard just because he seems like a jerk. But like I don't mind Don Cheadle, but I'm like this. It doesn't look. They don't look anything alike. So anyway, yeah. So I'm glad the way they did this. The mannerisms are the same. Like like he did a great job kind of emulating what the original actor for Bale was doing, or what what Bale was doing.
Mon Mothma, she wants to make a big speech in the Senate, but it's not looked upon as the right idea. She knows that her driver's a spy, but she can't fire him because then it will make the Empire more suspicious on her activities.
Even though
Because
she
she's
basically destroyed the bug in her office, I would have used that to my advantage, honestly, instead of destroying
well,
it.
but she needs to be able to communicate without the Empire knowing, So
So step out
I
on the
can,
balcony and close the door.
yeah. The speech Mom makes in the Senate wasn't broadcast in the entirety. She broadcast her speech. Um, she broke. Sorry, let me read that again. The speech Mom often makes in the Senate wasn't broadcast in entirety. That she broadcast her speech in entirety after being rescued with Rebels' new communication system. Yeah, Rebel season 3, episode 18. You brought that up, Cheeto.
I did.
Speaker
I
and content
actually,
million followed these
so I have
episodes.
not watched Rebels like in its entirety. I know of stuff that happens in it. I know of a lot of the stuff, but I've never actually sat down and watched the show. I actually went like after I saw that, like somebody said, "Hey, this episode is like picks up directly after this episode 9, I actually went and watched the whole episode. It actually was really good. I've always thought that Rebels was probably going to be a really good show. I just never sat down and watched it.
Yeah, it's weird in a way, like like Organa, like they know like things are getting worse now for the Senate under the Empire, and obviously the Senate ends up getting at the very beginning of New Hope, the Senate gets washed away with, and is fully ruled by Palpatine after that. But prior to all of that, they know that they have to keep an eye out for everything and anything. The person working with Mon Mothma was assigned to her by Luthen, which is why she ends up firing that dude, even though um, that dude ended up finding the bug in her apartment. She just doesn't trust Luthen, And Luthen, his presence was weird in these 3 episodes. I don't know really what to make of it. What about yourself?
I mean, Luthen just seems like he's more out in the open. Where I think I think Luthen realizes that his time is coming here pretty soon. Like I honestly thought he was going to bite it in episode 9. I honestly thought that was going to be his end. And like when they said, "Is he in the other room?" I thought Luthen was going to be dying in the other room. Like when they went to the apartment at the end or whatever. I thought it was going to be Luthen dying in the other room.
Well,
Not his brother. No, not like his. It's not his brother. I think it's somebody like the young guy that stayed behind. And obviously he didn't die, but yeah.
well, this is the weird thing with Luthen. Like they brought up Tay, the guy who got killed, at the end of the first 3 episode arc, and this time around, Luthen, who's so cautious, he thinks that maybe Bail Organa could be somebody that they can't rely on, and it could end up maybe thwarting their plans. And he wants to fucking kill Bail Organa now on this particular occasion. I think she almost indicating that to a degree, and Mon Mothma was not going to let that happen.
When I think Mon Mothma realizes at the point that Luthen sees enemies everywhere. You know what I mean? Like and that's
Yeah.
like in the beginning, like yes, Luthen's methods work, the shadow work. But as things grow, and I think Luthen even knows this, as the rebellion grew, they needed a figurehead. Luthen is not a figurehead. Luthen is a fertilizer for grass. You know what I mean? Like he's the one who like fertilizes it, brings it up, but eventually the grass or the fertilizer just gets washed away and the grass grows on its own. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
Luthen was never going to be a big figure. Luthen was never, and he knows that. He's even said that. He said, "No, like we're gonna hang here, man." And obviously Cassian doesn't, but I'm pretty sure, as I said, somebody's gonna out Luthen in the next 3 episodes.
It's strange with him as well because he's not even like being his alter ego when he's meeting Mon Mothma in public. Like the guy who owns the antique store. He's just looking like his regular self,
And that's
talking like
why I
a
think he kind of knows. Like I think he's kind of like, look, the time's coming here soon. Obviously it's going to last another year, but I think he knows at this point that time, it's time to move. But that's why I'm kind of like, all this is happening so fast right now. We have to, like, I honestly thought we'd get major deaths in every arc, but I mean, and yeah, we got like we got a somewhat major death in the first arc. But like I thought every arc we were going to lose somebody major in this show until they were all gone. Bix now at the end of this, which I know we'll talk
no,
about.
we did lose somebody major in this arc. It was Cyril.
No, we did. No, I meant like in all the arcs, but like in the first arc, we didn't really lose anyone that
No, the guy
major.
with the beard.
Yeah,
The
but he
bearded
wasn't
guy.
he wasn't that major to the plot. Like he's a side character.
Okay, yeah, but still, like he was the guy I could think of, and in last week it was the Indian chick, the Indian lesbian chick, and this week it was Cyril.
Those are all truth be told, those are all inconsequential characters. They're like side characters. You know what I mean? Like they don't. They're characters, but it's like they're not the characters that just like need to
No,
go before this can be Rogue One. You know what I mean?
I agree. I just thought that they were there from the beginning.
Yeah, I
So
mean, But that's another part. Is like where this is only 2 seasons. We don't have a shit ton of time to care about a lot of these people.
Melshi returned. Melshi.
Which one's
Melshi.
Melshi? I don't even know their names.
Melshi.
I know Andor. I know Bix. Hold on, I'll find out. Anyway.
Yeah, I need to Google it as well.
I'm on it. Anyway, well, continue. I mean, you know, I actually I didn't really have a chance to talk. I really liked this episode.
Oh yeah. He was in Rogue One as well.
I really liked this episode a lot. Maybe more than episode 8. I liked that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with episode 8. Episode 9 though was very like a fun political thriller episode. You know what I mean? Like, no episode 8 was more like, oh, here's this big event massacre, blah blah blah. Episode 9 was just a political thriller that was just a lot of like, just it was very like not Falcon, but like Captain America: The Winter Soldier. They're on the run. You know, they're taking people out that, you know, you don't know who's loyal to who. You don't know who the mole is, and obviously we find out as we go. But yeah.
So just to wrap this up, because I do apologize, I'm a little bit tired.
I mean, you act like it's like 1:49 in the morning where you're at.
Yeah. And I still got to do some other stuff after this. I got to marinate some ribs.
Jeez.
Bix not dying but disappearing. I like that. I like that a lot, because what it made me what sometimes these prequel shows do is that they give you a whole bunch of characters that were not in the show that, you know, comes after the prequels. So you always think to yourself, okay, are these people going to die? But not with Bix. She understands Andor's part in the rebellion, but Andor is so fixated on Bix and wanting to keep Bix alive and love Bix wholeheartedly that he is not focusing on the rebellion. But she wants him to focus on the rebellion. She believes in the rebellion herself. The shit she's been through. Thank you very much, Daniel. I do appreciate that. I appreciate your love. But she's been through a lot of shit herself, and she knows that Andor is vital to the rebellion, and in order to make him focus on the rebellion, she leaves him with a Dear John letter as well, and and Andor's fucking pissed. But what can he do?
I would be too. Yeah. Bix is pretty hot. I mean, you know, like
Bix is fucking pretty hot. She's gorgeous. Yeah, I mean,
I'd be mad if she left me too.
Yeah, but she's her heart's in the right place, you know, in the sense of the bigger deal. And
well, but you know what's even sadder is that within the next year, Rogue One happens. Well, not within, like around the next year, Rogue One happens, and you know,
yeah,
he'll obviously. She said, "Come and find me when this is all over." He ain't coming to find you.
Bix, yeah. What this also adds though is, well, Bix might be pregnant. I don't know if I would want her to be pregnant, but
then we can get Andor season 3 that takes place like 20 years later. Ooh,
no,
and Andor Jr. can meet Rey, and then it'll be great.
I'm just saying that this actress can still come back in Star Wars in other capacities. You know, she's not been killed off. You know, they could show her in other things. So yeah,
B2 emo, yeah.
So I'm really glad that she's still alive. So yeah, that's good shit right there. But Andor, he's all over the place, and the K2S droid now is going to be rebooted and switched on again, and he's there. And while that happens, and he comes on, and he's very polite, you know, wants Andor to please put the gun down, and then boom, the episode ends. And the thing is that we'll be coming back a year later. So there has already been a year for him and K2SO to build their bond, the bond that we saw them have in Rogue One. And I do feel that with Bix gone and K2SO to fill the void, a really weird void that he is filling. Yeah, this will be our partnership for the
K2
next 3 episodes.
Sexo, baby.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to that because I want to see that. It's a shame that we've got very little time to see their relationship develop,
Do,
but
so
I
here's
want
my
to see it
question.
regardless.
Since this takes place a year later, do you think that a part of these last 3 episodes is going to be Bix being captured by the Empire or somebody from the past or whatever, and him having to go save her? That was my first thought when she left. I'm like, oh, so possibly in the next 3 episodes, he's going to have to go save her because she left. They have no idea where she's going, what she's doing. Like, that was one of my thoughts is like, is
No,
this going to come into play in the next arc where he has to go save her one last time and she dies?
no, because the fact that she's not dead is actually a really good thing regarding the character of Andor. She's not dead, and I think if she was dead, I think Andor would be in a far worse place than he would
Okay.
be. So I think Bix is done for the show. I don't think we'll be getting her back, and they're really going to focus on this relationship between these two for the next 3 episodes. I don't know what's going to come from that, but I'll tell you this: I'm very, very excited for these next 3 episodes because I'm dying to watch these next 3 episodes, and then I'm going to go straight into Rogue One and watch that again. I haven't seen Rogue One in years.
Oh man, I watch Rogue One at least once a year. My favorite Star Wars.
I
So
haven't
yeah, but
seen it in
that's a good idea. We should do a watch along. No, I wouldn't.
yeah. With Nemec book from season 1.
That's
Nemec's
the one
book.
nerdy guy from the heist episode. Remember he had the book that
Okay.
and he gave it to
I think
Andor when he died or something, or right before he died or something like that.
okay. What does that book do?
It's just I can't remember what was in it. I think it's what was it? Was it I don't remember what was in it, but I remember the book. I do remember the book and like him having the book and him giving the book to Andor when he was dying. When they were,
Fair enough.
escaping on the ship and, he got crushed or whatever. I remember everything except what the freaking book was for.
Fair enough. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 episodes, but it will lead. I do think that they'll find that information regarding the Death Star and all of that.
Do we think we will see Grand Admiral Thrawn, Palpatine, or Vader? Like, I know they've said that they don't
No,
want to put them in there, but they like in these last episodes, they like to throw some big shocker in there. I think it's not outside the realm of possibility.
Thrawn's a possibility, but no Tarkin, possibly Tarkin, but I don't think so now. No Tarkin, no Vader, and no Palpatine. Krennic, I definitely do think we will see because I do think Krennic will have to, because obviously this Death Star thing is his baby, and we'll need to obviously get more out of that as well. So yeah,
I kind of hope we get a Palpatine scene. Palpatine doesn't have to show up. You know what I mean? But like, like I figure they
oh,
talk a lot
I,
about Palpatine for us to see. And I get
on
like them saying like Palpatine's kind of a recluse, like staying hidden away. But still, I don't know. I think he should make an appearance, at least because we've gotten a Vader appearance in like Rogue One and in Kenobi. The next big appearance for the Empire would be Palpatine, and this would be probably the proper show for him to show up in.
I don't mind, but I'm not. If he does show up, great. If Ian McDermott does a cameo, I'm all fine with that.
Listen,
But
I want Luthen to be brought before the Emperor. That's what I want. I want Krennic to bring Luthen in front of the Emperor and for the Emperor to kill him.
it's very weird with Luthen. I do feel Andor's going to be the one who kills Luthen. I think Luthen is going to. Some people consider Luthen to be the Palpatine of the rebels, and I do feel that Luthen's eccentricness and he's almost become a bit crazy with what he's doing. He's lost his fucking mind.
Yeah, that's a
And I do,
possibility.
and there's a possibility it might not be Andor. It could be Sol Guerrera. You know what I mean? There's, but I do feel Luthen will be killed not by outside forces, but within.
I mean,
You know,
that's a very good possibility. I just thought it would be a
maybe,
pretty
maybe,
major
maybe.
statement if the Emperor himself killed Luthen.
God, imagine if it's Mon Mothma, because Mon Mothma in Episode 9, like she
Oh yeah,
saw shit,
she was not a fighter. She's not someone who's going around blasting people with blasters.
but she saw shit happen in
She
this
did.
episode, which she wasn't used to because she's too busy voicing shit in the Senate. But then she finally saw it firsthand, and yeah, she's got an idea of where what the rebel's all about now.
No lightsabers,
Rebellion.
Daniel Vance. We don't need lightsabers unless it's Palpatine's to chop off Luthen's head. That's it. Like,
Well, actually, Kellier's the young girl who works in Luthen's office, correct? I mean, it
yes.
could be them two. Like she might end up being more on the side of the rebels because she's younger. She sees the bigger picture, and
Well, they've been building
it could be
that up.
them.
You're right. It could be her killing him, but
I mean, Kellier herself, she's a character who also doesn't need to die. She could just disappear within the rebellion and just be somebody who works for them, and
I wouldn't
then
mind that.
she's just
I
a
think
cog in the wheel.
I think Luthen needs
But
to die. Like if to
yeah,
complete
he
his
does.
story arc, Luthen needs to die. And yeah, I think that Clea can just get folded into the rebellion and become something in the rebellion. I mean, a strategist, communication specialist, something. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously she's very skilled at many things.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also Mon Mothma's cousin, the chick,
Yeah.
who's
She's a
she.
weapons
I don't know.
specialist. Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with her. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they close up all these arcs, because after Bix not being killed, it made me realize that just because we don't see these people in Rogue One and other Star Wars properties doesn't mean that they necessarily need to be killed off for the sake of that.
Yeah.
They could just disappear into the system the same way Jar Jar Binks disappeared into the system. He never got killed off.
He was frozen, and if you play Force not the Force Awakens, Force Unleashed, Jar Jar Binks was taken to a collector. He was frozen in carbonite, and he is in his display in the Force Unleashed. So that is where he is. That's
No, but
that's the canon I'm sticking with.
I'm just saying that the last time we saw Jar Jar Binks was at the funeral of Padme.
Padme, yeah.
And now that's it. They never brought him up again. He's not in episode 4, 5, 6, or the sequels.
Honestly, I would have never have mind them bringing him back. Like I did not hate Jar Jar Binks. I thought that he was a bit too focused on in episode 1, but like him becoming a senator and all that other stuff, like I thought that was fine. I was like, oh, I'm glad that he's still kind of like doing his thing, and like he technically is the one who created the Empire. Jar Jar Binks is the one who moved for supreme power to Emperor, and that's why everybody says he's Darth Jar Jar, which I don't believe he's Darth Jar Jar, but he is the one who single-handedly started the wheels to build the Empire.
And the funny thing is, it shows like this where you could have brought him back for some capacity, and yeah, but
I don't know. I don't know if he would have fit. I mean, yes, he could have had a cameo, like maybe in the Senate hearings, but like,
he's not a fit for Andor. I definitely get it, but there are, I don't know. I mean,
could have shown up in Kenobi somewhere, somehow, some way.
Yeah, he could have shown up in Kenobi. That would have been good. Anyway, let's mark the episode. I'm getting fucking tired.
Yeah, I kind of figured. It's only 2 a.m. there, man. What are you doing? I'm watching your clock in the background.
Yeah, that's how you know.
Well, I mean, I can count, but it's like, yeah, your clock's in the background in the corner. I'm watching it. So
yeah. Everybody loves my clock. So yes, I'll go first. I'm gonna give all 3 episodes a solid. I'm gonna give it a solid 9. I thought it was very good. I loved it. Like, this was like really good stuff. I'm very excited for the last 3 episodes. I like the fact that they didn't have to kill characters for the sake of killing characters. And I'm very excited for the conclusion, and then to watch Rogue One straight after that. Yeah, I can't wait. 9 out of 10.
I will also give it a solid 9 out of 10. I thought that these episodes were fantastic. And although I had my little gripes about the season overall and blah, 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 these are individually, these are all 3 great episodes. I think season 7 or episode 7 is kind of the weakest out of the 3, but that's saying a lot because episode 8 and 9, like if I were to ranking these individually, I would probably do episode 9. It would definitely be a 10. Episode 8 would probably be I would go between a 9 and a 10, and episode 7 would probably be like a 9. You know what I mean? Like so these are really top tier Star Wars episodes for real.
And for episode 9 to be as good as it is, considering the meat and potatoes of this trilogy of episodes was episode 8 with the massacre, goes to show that, you know, regardless of the aftermath, it still held up and delivered some good content. I'll admit, every time we were in the Senate, I'm looking for ET and the extraterrestrials. I don't give a fuck that much, you know, like, but I get ya. 10 out of 10 applause. Talk to an extended universe friend who gave up into watching Andor after my review to him of these episodes in relation to old canon. Fair enough. And like I said, tell him to watch the next 3 episodes because they're going to lead straight into Rogue One, and I'm sure he's seen that. All right. We're back with more reviews of various things in the upcoming days.
Busy on the channel right now. It seems like we're feast or famine.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I could do a bit of famine. I'm fucking knackered. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the great social media channel you never heard of.